Hey friends, welcome back to Bush Poppy Farm. Hope you're doing well. Um, I need to make the bouquets for the CSA this week. And so I know you've seen me do this before, but I thought I would do a little bit deeper dive in case you're interested in doing something like this yourself. So what I want to start by saying is, as flower farmers, we do not gatekeep. So we want more flower farmers, more farmer florists in the world, and especially in the US. Did you know that between 80 and 85% of the cut flowers in the United States are imported? That means there's a very small percentage coming from local flower farmers, and we can change that. So it's not an industry that we want to keep people out of. We want more. We want more flower farmers in the United States. Local flowers do wonderful things. First of all, it's a much smaller carbon footprint because the imported flowers are coming from the Netherlands and from Central and South America. So that's a lot of carbon expended to get flowers here. If you're buying from local farmers, that's a much smaller footprint. Two, they last a lot longer because they're being harvested and then getting to the end user in a matter of 1 or 2 days, as opposed to weeks where they sit in a refrigeration cooler on a cargo ship, right? Also, there are lots of flowers that cannot be shipped because they just don't hold up in shipping. And so local farmers can grow those and provide those to local florists. Things like zinnias, for instance, those do not hold up in shipping, but they work great going from the farm to the end user through me or any other local flower farmer. So if you are at all interested in growing cut flowers, even as a hobby or just to give to friends and family, or maybe you have a friend who has a wedding coming up in 6 to 8 months because you kind of need some time for this, and you want to grow the flowers for them. Maybe you have a little 2 by 3 foot bed in your backyard and you want to turn that into a cut flower garden. You could totally do that. So I want to encourage you, if you are at all interested in growing flowers for sale or to gift, to do that. And so I figured I would have a couple of videos, talking about this kind of stuff and give you some insight into the behind the scenes kind of thing, what we do on the back end to make all this happen. If you really want to do this for a living, you totally can. You can make money being a flower farmer, but you do need to, it's a big learning curve, but there's lots of resources out there. So I did my initial education through the Gardener's Workshop with Lisa Mason Ziegler. I took all of her online classes. They are completely affordable, 30, 40, 50 bucks. You get tons of information. You can go back to them over and over and over again, which I do sometimes. And then I did the Florette online flower farming school, which was incredible. So I've got many, many hours of education behind me. And then you have to put it into practice and really just make the mistakes, do the work, enjoy it, get the dirt under your nails. Like I said, make the mistakes and be okay with that. So I thought it would be fun today to walk you through the whole process of making bouquets for my CSA. CSA stands for Community Supported Agriculture, and that is one of the prime sales funnels in my business. Basically, people buy subscriptions of flowers from me in advance, and then they get flowers delivered to them. So I have a spring, a summer, and a fall subscription service. Spring and fall are 6 weeks, and summer is 8 weeks. The way mine is set up is people can buy either the whole session or they can do a half. So instead of getting 6, one bouquet every week for 6 weeks in the spring or fall, they could get 3. So those are the options in my CSA. It's different for every farmer who has a CSA for vegetables or whatever. So summertime is a slower season, believe it or not. I mean, people travel, they're on vacation, and so I don't usually have as many subscribers in the summertime. So a lot of times their bouquets are a bit bigger and a little more crazy and fun because I have more flowers to work with. It's the summer. That's the irony. Spring and fall, there's actually fewer flowers to work with, and I have more subscribers. So since we only have 7 bouquets to put together today, I thought it might be fun to take you along. I know you've seen me do this before, but I will go into detail about what I do and why I do it. And maybe that will help inspire you to do the same. So the first thing I do before we go through the flower options and I show you what we've got, I get my infrastructure set up for the day. So the first thing is buckets. Okay, these are just my black flower buckets. They've got a Bush Poppy Farm sticker on them, but these are the buckets that are going to get the finished bouquets, and then they'll go into the car for deliveries. So I want to have them all set up. They're clean. They've been cleaned with soap and water, and they have water in them. It's about 2 to 3 inches of water with a flower preservative in there as well. And that is just to keep them well hydrated and kind of keep them in stasis, you know, till they get to the customer. Now, every customer is going to get a packet of flower food. I buy these in bulk, and every customer gets one of these, and I encourage them when they are putting their arrangement in a vase to use this. This stuff actually, it really works. There's science behind it. There's some sugars in here that plants need to continue to thrive and take up water. There's also some ingredients to keep the water from getting super mucky. And so, yeah, these are important. Things will really last a lot longer if you use the flower packet. This is not just a gimmick. Okay, next I get my flower sleeves ready. So some people use sheets of craft paper. I happen to like these sleeves. They are pre-made. They are basically a tube. They come in different sizes. I get mine from either A. Company or Johnny's. They have them as well. I actually think this batch I got from the Gardener's Workshop. So I have the sleeves, and then I put my sticker on them. These stickers, I'll have to look up the company name because I actually need to order some more. This is just they come on a roll, and you can see I'm getting very low. The roll, you don't have to have this machine, but boy, when you're doing lots of bouquets, it makes it a lot easier because it just holds everything into place and it pulls off your label like that. But I just have a sticker that I ordered years ago when I started the business, and I just, you know, keep it on this roll. I put a sticker on every sleeve. Okay, tear off this extra, and then this can go away. So that is set. Next, I'm going to get basically the supplies set up on the table in the workflow that works for me. So I have my sleeves here. This doesn't need to be here. I grab a whole bunch of rubber bands. I grab the amount of packets of flower food I need. 2, 4, 6, 7 for this week. And then I grab my twine, and sometimes, and I'm going to do that now, I pre-cut it so that I don't have to take the time to do that. This twine is from a company called Nutscene. I just like it. It works great. It's very pretty. It comes in lots of colors. And I like this container because it feeds it out and it doesn't get all twisted. Okay. So I've got all of my supplies that I need to build these bouquets. I also need my Felco pruners because I'm going to cut all the stems at the end to make sure they are all even and nice and clean, because that fresh cut is going to allow them to take up all that flower food basically that's in the buckets while they sit overnight. Okay, next we're going to start working with our ingredients. So we have a ton of Alstroemeria here. We've got feverfew, some status. Got a lot of this blue wheat, really cool. It gave me like another whole harvest. We've got a big bucket of dahlias here. I mean, look at those. So you can tell here we've got some purple and white, just white, and then we have some pink down here, and then we have these hotter colors in the reds and oranges. So these I'm not going to combine in the same arrangement. We will have some hot color arrangements and some cool color arrangements. We have a whole bunch of marigolds as well as a bunch of zinnias. I haven't decided if I'm going to use these or not. It just depends on how long the stems look. I might just save the zinnias for myself. We'll see. And these I haven't been using as much in arrangements. They are very hot and bright, but I have been drying a lot of them because I will need them in the fall. And then we have another mixed bucket here. We've got some big sunflowers. These are kind of too big for like your basic arrangements, but I might use them for myself. We've got Daucus, chocolate lace flower. We've got some straw flower. We have feverfew. We have grasses here and millet. This is limelight millet. And then we have snapdragons. So these are the ingredients we are working with. Now, if I was planning on making every bouquet exactly the same, I would literally lay out the piles. I would make a pile for every bouquet and everybody would get the same number of flowers of each variety, right? Each person gets 5 alstroemeria, each person gets 3 this, 4 that kind of thing. But these are all going to be a little bit different because we don't have exactly the same flowers, enough of exactly the same flowers to do that. We have lots of flowers, more than we need for just these 7 arrangements, but I'm going to make things a little bit slightly different. So for the landowners, I give them 2 bouquets every week during the season, and I don't want them to both be the same. I'd like for them to be different so that they have 2 different arrangements to enjoy. So I'm thinking I'm going to give them a sunflower arrangement. It's not just going to be sunflowers. It'll have other things in it too, but I think we'll do a sunflower arrangement just for them. And then they'll also get dahlias. So because we're doing sunflowers, I'll probably give them a cool dahlia arrangement. And then for everybody else, I think we'll be using the warm dahlias, the alstroemeria, and some of the snapdragons, because those can go hot or cool because they have like the orange, pinky, apricot, yellow. So they can go either way. And then the grasses we will pop in there as well. So I think that's what we're going to do. To start with, I'm going to get the sunflower arrangement going. Okay, so our ingredients for the sunflower recipe here, and again, this is just going to be a single bouquet. We have 2 types of sunflowers. We've got white night and white light. Now we grew these from seed. These I think were transplants into the farm garden because the ones that I've started from seed out there, direct sown, haven't done as well. Now normally with focal flowers, these are going to be our focal flowers, I like to go with odd numbers. I'm going to break the rules in this case. I'm going to do evens because we have 2 of each and I just think they look fun together. So those are our focal flowers. There are only 3 ingredients in this bouquet. Next, we have these Highlander grass, and I think their wispy texture is just going to make a really nice addition to the sunflowers. Then we have straw flowers. Now we're probably not going to use all of these, but since these are a secondary supportive flower, I would normally use 5 to 7 of these in an arrangement. So with my hand-tied bouquets like this, a lot of times, depending on the size of the focal flowers, it'll only be 3 focal flowers, 5 to 7 supporting, and that could be for different varieties, multiple, 5 to 7 over a number of varieties. And then we will have our greenery and our airy aspect that can be 5 to 7 stems. So it just depends on the ingredients we're working with. So to start, I'm going to start with a single one, and then I'm going to, now we're not going to be making a spiral bouquet, which is what I use when that's the technique I use when I make bridal arrangements, bridesmaids bouquets, etc., which is basically you start with an X and you keep adding and you keep turning and you eventually end up with a big spiral and the stems splay out at the bottom. That's amazing. It makes a really beautiful bouquet. You don't need that so much with a hand-tied bouquet, especially since the customer is going to take this apart and put it in their own vase. So what we're really trying to do here is to make the top of the bouquet that they're going to see in the paper sleeve look full and not like all of one thing in the middle and all of something else around the outside. So we're just kind of mixing it up a little bit. So to that end, I like to add ingredients kind of one at a time and kind of mix and match. Oh, so I don't want these two right next to each other. Again, the customer is going to take this apart, but I want it to look different when they get it. I have some white and some red straw flower here. I'm going to pop this guy in, and it's totally fine to have things sticking up at different levels when it's this airy aspect to the bouquet. Also, what I like to tell people is there's not a whole lot of rules when it comes to this kind of thing. Have fun, experiment. You'll know it when you see it. If you start putting something together and you're like, I don't know, I don't like that. Take it apart and start again. There's no real rules. You know, it's gonna be pretty no matter what because it's flowers. Okay, so now I'm gonna kind of just build a little collar around here with these straw flowers. And the sunflowers will continue to open more. We kind of really want to harvest them when the petals are just starting to lift off of the head, kind of like that. Because by harvesting them like this is going to give the longest vase life for the customer. Now, you can harvest them completely open for yourself, like I did here. I mean, this guy's been open in the field for days and days. It's got some bug damage on it. It has had lots of bees on it enjoying themselves. So I'm going to keep this for myself. This is probably not something I give to the customer because since it's been open for a while, the petals are going to start coming off pretty quickly. And so you want them to have the longest vase life possible. So that's something else you'll get used to when you harvest is harvest stage. There's an amazing book out there. I will put a picture of it up here for you, but it gives you information on the harvest stage and the processing and the basically the preserving of every type of cut flower you could possibly think of. Okay, so now you see at the bottom we have lots of different stem lengths and we want to change that. We do want as long as possible just because they'll look best in the sleeve, but you have to make sure that everything's the same level because you need everything to be in the water. So I'm just going to start clipping. Now I have not bought it yet because it's like $200. There is a really nice, basically it's like a paper cutter almost, but it's to cut stems that you can attach to a table. And like I said, it's pretty expensive. I'm not making 20 or 30 bouquets every week all the time. And so it's okay for me to do this. It does take longer this way. And if you're all about efficiency, that's probably a great tool, but I'm okay like now. So what we do is now we're going to wrap the bouquet to keep it closed. What we're doing is we slide the rubber band over just a few of the stems, and then we go like this and slide the other end that way. That makes it super easy for the customer to get the band off. I mean, they can also just cut it off, but it's also way easier for you than doing it the way you would think. Then I take my packet of flower food and then I just rubber band it on. Usually twice is plenty, okay? And now we are ready for our sleeve. It's totally okay to turn it upside down so you can get the sleeve down. You want to try to get the sleeve to cover, and if you're doing this with craft paper, it's the same kind of idea. You don't want to completely cover the blooms, but you want to cover them enough that it'll keep them safe. Okay, and then I'm going to squeeze the bottom like this. And lay this down, and then I'm going to just tie a bow. All right, so first one done. This now goes in those prepared buckets in the water with the conditioner in it, and it will stay beautiful like this and look great until it gets delivered tomorrow. Now, if it was hot, I would either put, if I was lucky enough to have a walk-in cooler, which I do not, I do have this beverage cooler back here, but the compressor is broken on it. It runs, but it does not cool. So that's one thing I need to do is get that fixed. But either you put these in a cool place or just keep them out of the direct sun until you get them to your customer or your friend or whoever you've made it for. So on really hot days, I will bring these just into the laundry room in my house where the air conditioner is running, and they'll sit in 70 degrees, they'll be fine. Now, not every flower likes to go into cold temperatures like a flower cooler, which are generally kept around 40 degrees. Things like zinnias and even sunflowers can tend to kind of look mangy when they come out of there. So again, just study up on whatever flower it is to see what kind of temperatures it can take. You know, a lot of times your warm season annuals are not going to be able to tolerate super cold temperatures like obviously the cool hardy annuals can. Okay, next up. Next up is our cool color floral arrangement. This one's going to be pretty big. This one's also going to the landowners. So we've got these amazing dahlias. Look at that. She's huge. That's my hand. Now this one, I don't think I'm going to use for them. And here's the reason why. There's a lot of bug damage on the back here, little tiny holes. And when a dahlia's petals start recurving backwards towards the stem, that kind of means they're nearing the end of their bloom life where they're going to look good. So we have other options, but I probably will end up not using this one, instead using it in just an arrangement for myself. But we have more of that same variety that are in better repair. You can do this. You can pull off any damaged petals. Can always do that. This one though has a lot of bug damage. However, I think if we just cut it out, there we go, that will work. Now I'm also going to pull off this stem. So I did most of my cleaning in the field when I harvested. I like to strip my stems in the field so I have less to do back at the house. But these will not open for the customer. With dahlias, when you harvest them is pretty much where they're going to stay. They're not going to continue to open. But I love the way these look as little ingredients in the bouquet. So we've got this one. We've got this one that has a little bit of bug damage on this lower petal here. There we go. We've got this one is white. Another beautiful white one. More white. And then we have these gorgeous little pink ladies. And these ones, which I'm still not sold on. This is the first time growing this variety. I don't know. I kind of like the stripiness, but they look a little raggedy to me every time I harvest. And I don't know if they're getting more ravaged by bugs, but I don't think I'm going to use these. Okay, so those are our focal flowers. Then we have more straw flower, but these are pinkish variety here. I think this is silvery rose. So this is a cool color, and that's going to go in this arrangement. And then we also have lots of Daucus chocolate lace flower, obviously purple, a cool color. We've got this beautiful blue wheat. This stuff, I mean, you may not be able to tell on camera, but it does have a beautiful blue, kind of like a blue spruce color to it. I love this. And then we've got Status. So these are our ingredients for this bouquet. And we're going to do it the same way that we did the others. We're going to start and just start assembling and see where we go from there. So like I said, having some sticking up above, totally fine. And one of the things that makes a bouquet look interesting is different textures. It's just the same as when you are putting together a bed in your garden. Different textures, different varieties tend to make it more interesting to the eye. And again, all of these stems are going to get cut back. And I do, even though this is not a spiral arrangement, I do tend to still turn in a circle so that I can make sure I get a variety of things in different places throughout the arrangement. Also allows me to see where I have some holes by turning it around. Now you don't want, one of the reasons we strip flower stems is we don't want flowers, you don't want the leaves of flowers underneath the water line in a vase. That is what makes the water in the vase nasty and yucky. So you want to keep all the leaves from below the water line. You want to keep everything clean. And again, the customer is going to take this apart and put it in their own vase. So we are just providing them with pretty ingredients that they can then play around with to make them look how they want. And you don't have to use all the stems that you pick out. I generally keep going until it feels kind of thick in my hands, and then I'm like, okay, that's enough. Now, I do, when it comes to weddings and other events like that, I do have stem counts that I try to stick to because I have priced the arrangements that I'm making them based on the number of stems that I'm going to be using. And so if I overpack and I go over that, then I'm actually losing money. There's a lot of little nuances when it comes to profitability that you got to start learning when you start doing this. But for my CSA customers, they've paid up front, and so I'm happy to, kind of pack out a bouquet. I have already priced in my crop plan how much per stem, and so I'm roughly going for about $25 to $30 per bouquet. Just depends on the season. All right, so now we've got a whole bunch of stems that we need to get cut down. Okay. Sometimes it's kind of hard to find where the shortest stem is when you got the status, because the status has all that winged leaf material. So even though you try to strip as much as you can, with status it's kind of tough. It just is what it is on the stems. All right, and now once again we slide our rubber band over just a few of the stems and wrap it around, and then go back through some other stems. That is secure. Add our flower food. It's a very thick arrangement. And now we're going to put the paper on. This one, it's pretty thick. I think it's actually going to end up sticking up. The arrangement's probably going to end up sticking up above the sleeve somewhat. I don't know. It'll work. Okay, so there is our cool color arrangement. Now there's only one of these this week. The rest are going to be pretty much the same. So I'm going to go on and set up for our assembly line, and you'll see how that goes. We're going to make 5 more. Okay, we have 5 bouquets, all the same ingredients, and I'll show you what those are. Okay, so for our focal flowers, we have our beautiful dahlias. Now, I haven't decided yet. I don't think I'm going to leave all of these super tall stems. I think I might take some of these off. Some of them is okay, but not a lot. So we've got these guys and the white together. And then we have some of these beautiful champagne snapdragons. Not many, because I did harvest a bunch, but they're getting rust on their leaves. And so a lot of them are short. I'm going to use them for another thing. And we have some feverfew. This is actually from our backyard, feverfew. Then we have some of the blue wheat and this peach agastaki. So I think all of these are going to make a lovely little arrangement. So I'm going to go ahead and put all of these together, same things that you've seen all the way across the board, and then we're done.
warm winds blowing in is keeping me safe. I don't know for how long I can carry on, pretending that everything's alright, and that it will be fine in the end. In the end. In the
Okay, so here are all of our arrangements. We've got our warm arrangements that are going to the majority of the CSA folks. And then we've got our warm sunflower and cool dahlia arrangement going to the homeowners. Now, we still have lots of flowers left. Daucus, sunflowers, millet, snapdragons, status, dahlias, alstroemeria, and marigolds. Oh, and there's some zinnias in there too. So thanks for coming with me today while we built some bouquets, and I showed you some of the kind of methodology that I use. Other farmers might do things differently. So there's always lots of people to learn from, which is really awesome. But this is what I do on a weekly basis. Now, with all those other flowers, I'm going to put together other bouquets that I will actually sit out for roadside sales. And so I probably will have 100% alstroemeria bouquets, 100% marigold bouquets, and then I'll have some other mixed bouquets with the other leftovers that we have. But yeah, those I'm not doing today. So thanks so much for hanging out today. I hope you enjoyed that. And as time goes on, we'll do some other, flower farming videos. Maybe when we do some crop planting and some seed starting kind of stuff like that. Let me know in the comments if there's things that you would like to learn. And also, I guess let me know if you really would prefer to not have this type of content and just go back to the gardening and, flower stuff. So anyway, thanks again for hanging out. I hope you have a wonderful time in your garden, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.